today we're back with another easy, quick, budget-friendly makeover, and this time we're tackling our tea bar. So we moved into this space a few months ago and saw that we had this brush nickel hardware that I personally hate, and this cupboard organization was non-existent. So my first step was spray painting the hardware, changing it into this gorgeous gold that I absolutely love. Super easy with my favorite handy dandy Rust-Oleum, and I just covered it with the kind of clear protective cover. After we were done with that, I knew that I wanted to do something with the backsplash, and I knew this space had a lot of potential, but I wasn't entirely sure what to do with it. Eventually I landed on a vision of how can I romanticize my morning routine. Every morning I have tea, my husband has coffee. How do we transform this kind of mundane thing that we do into a moment and also add drama and just add beauty, right? So first step was to really clear off the space, make sure that we had a good space to work. And I don't know why I keep saying we, because I was the one doing the work, but that's okay. And so my first step was just grabbing my Clorox wipes and wiping down the surface. Now you may be thinking, why are you cleaning before you start working, right? Like, why don't you clean up afterwards? Well, let me give you a tip here. One of the ways that you can make your peel and stick tile look as realistic as possible is by adding caulking. And one thing I hate is when I caulk and there is dust or dirt or any kind of like grime, just bits or crumbs, and then they get caught in the caulking. You never get a smooth finish. So tip and word to the wise, make sure you clean before you caulk. So here I'm just kind of going nuts and cleaning the cupboard surfaces just because cleaning makes me feel good. So here we are. This is time for the install. This is take 2. I did not film take 1, or at least not post it, because initially, as you would see from the previous footage, I had decided to install the tiles on a kind of diagonals for a harlequin pattern. I eventually realized that was not going to work, just in terms of how I had made my cuts and so on. And so I pivoted. You have to pivot, and this is another tip: be okay with changing what you're doing. So here I pivoted and decided to just do a regular kind of checkerboard pattern, and this is using the Chris Loves Julia collection from Floorpopped. Love the tiles. Will say that you need to add a little bit of extra adhesive though, because they did not stick all that well on their own. So I used some Gorilla Glue. It lasts okay, but remember you're going to have tea or coffee here. There's going to be steam. So in future, if I were to do this again, I would use super glue or something a bit stronger than the Gorilla Glue. So here I am just pressing with all my might to get the tile to stick on the wall. And I love the finished look. You'll see it in a bit, but the checkerboard really added the kind of Art Deco vibe that I was going for. Our house is built from the 1920s. I wanted to be true to the era that the house is from, and that's kind of Art Deco. And so I wanted to make sure that anything I added looked like it could have been here originally, not just like I added something, in 2025. Now, again, another note to self, double check the tile color before you cut it. So here I was so upset because I didn't realize, and you can like literally see the pain. I didn't realize that I had cut a tile that was the same color as the tile I was installing it next to. So I had 2 oxblood tiles, and I needed one of the kind of greasy ones. I was so upset and I could not make this work. I was like, maybe I can make it work below. It didn't work. I just had to scrap the tile. So make sure that you make a note to yourself in terms of the pattern that you're doing. I also just want to say this was probably pregnancy brain as well, because like, how did I not see that? But anyway, it helps to make a note to yourself of the way you want your colors installed, just to kind of avoid this issue. So at this point I had installed the backsplash, and the next step was to organize the cupboards. My big goal was to make the storage more functional, and then to go ahead and style the coffee/tea bar. So what I realized about the way I had initially set up this space is that I had the teas up top, which was fine, but I also had, I didn't show it here, but I also had like mugs. Those are expired. I don't know what I was looking at, but those are definitely expired. I had mugs in the cupboard next to this one, and I realized, why am I reaching up to grab mugs when I'm making tea? It doesn't make any sense. And so I decided it made more sense to put the mugs in the base unit. So again, whenever you're kind of doing this in your own space, think about the way you use the items that you're styling and that you're organizing, right? Like the tea bag goes in from the top, the mug is on the bottom, obviously, because that's how you make tea. You want your organization of your cupboards to kind of match that flow, match that workflow. One major key I will give you is acrylic risers for the win. Love these. I bought these during COVID, so they've had them for 5 years, but they've been everywhere. Bathroom, kitchen, bedroom, everywhere. Love them. Super, super helpful. At this point, it was time to style, which is my favorite part. And I wanted this to feel like livable luxury again. I wanted it to feel special. I wanted to romanticize this part of our morning routine. And so, obviously, the essentials for your tea bar, you need a kettle or some form of hot water heater. You also need tea, and if you're a coffee drinker, which I am not, but if you're a coffee drinker, you're gonna need your coffee and your syrups. And so here I am just playing around with spacing. One tip I'll give you for styling is, even though here I've used two wooden elements like the chopping board and the kind of tea caddy on the far left, you can see they're in different colors. You never want it to look too matchy. That looks so boring, right? You never want it to look flat. You want it to look interesting. You want to keep the eye moving. So you want to add texture. So here I had initially stored like our sieves and our strainers in this kind of white ribbed vessel, and I decided I wanted to do something a little more interesting. And so I went to my neighborhood home goods. I saw this gorgeous William Morris tea bag canister. It's just how they were selling the English tea. And I decided that would be perfect for my tea bar. So I took the tea out and put my sieves and strainers in, and I turned it backwards so you didn't see the William Morris part. And there was like a special moment, right? Something that made the tea bar feel a little more interesting, something that added texture, and the colors worked really well with the backsplash as well. So at this point, I'm honestly just tinkering. Like, who knows? I think I'm tinkering at this point. Just really getting a sense of where to put this. And I thought, well, it makes sense to put it next to the tea, right? Again, we're thinking about flow. Then I added these dried roses, which I'd had for a while. I dried them myself, but I thought they matched the color of the tile perfectly. And then I added this kind of figurine here, which is so heavy. I think it's from TJ Maxx, where most things are from. And something that to me screams romance is a framed picture in like the kitchen or in the bathroom, somewhere unexpected. And a framed picture like this one, where it's kind of more the style that you would use for like a family picture, right? Like it's not on the wall, it's just sitting there. And that's what I loved here. So I decided to kind of play with the faces motif as well. And here you have it. This is a finished product. I am here making my tea and telling you it has really improved my morning routine. And that's the power of good design, good interior decorating, and intentional home decor, is that it has the power to really improve your life. And that may seem like an overstatement, but it's really not. Every morning I have tea, and now when I have my tea, it doesn't feel so blah. It feels kind of special. It feels kind of like, ooh, this is luxurious. And that's the vibe that we're going for, you know? So if you are looking to do a similar makeover in your space, biggest advice I have for you, go for it. Don't worry so much about budget, because with a bar this small, you can kind of splurge, because it's a small space. And as long as you get materials that you can use in another space, you won't have wasted any money. So we're looking forward to seeing you for our next home makeover. Until then, take care of yourself, and remember, home is no place for imposter syndrome. Make sure that the space you're curating and creating is authentically you. Take care. Cheers.